Men in Black is remembered as one of the coolest sci-fi comedies ever made. Stylish, effortless, iconic. But almost none of that was supposed to happen. Behind the sunglasses and neuralizers was a production spiraling toward collapse. Actors quitting weeks before filming. Scripts being rewritten during shooting. Entire characters, endings, and even the film's visual identity scrapped and rebuilt under panic-level deadlines. This movie wasn't carefully crafted. It was rescued piece by piece through chaos, improvisation, and decisions that nearly destroyed it. What audiences saw as confidence was actually desperation. What felt polished was held together by last-minute fixes no one was meant to know about. Tonight, we're not talking about aliens. We're talking about everything that went wrong, and how Men in Black survived when it shouldn't have. Number 1. The entire look of the film came from a failure. Men in Black's visual identity wasn't created for the movie. It came from a canceled theme park ride. Production designer Bo Welch discovered unused concept art for a scrapped Universal Studios attraction based on Men in Black. The ride had been abandoned years earlier, deemed visually insufficient and commercially risky. The designs remained archived and forgotten. Welch adapted those concepts directly into the film. Retro-futuristic technology, stark black and white interiors, and sleek government architecture. The aesthetic audiences now associate with Men in Black was never meant for cinema. Using the designs required complex licensing negotiations, adding cost and legal complications. But the choice defined the film. After Men in Black became a worldwide success, Universal reversed course and built a theme park attraction using those same ideas. The designs that were once rejected became iconic only after the film proved they worked. Number 2. The solution added days before the film locked. The central mystery of Men in Black was not planned. The galaxy hidden on Orion's collar did not exist in the original script. Early versions resolved the story with a hidden spaceship and a more conventional explanation. Test audiences found it confusing and unsatisfying. With the deadline approaching, the creative team was out of options. 3 days before the film had to be locked for release prints, the director, writer, and producers were still searching for an answer. The breakthrough came from a simple idea. The most important object should be something small, overlooked, and constantly in plain sight. But nothing had been filmed to support it. Industrial Light and Magic was given 72 hours to create entirely new visual effects. Shots of the galaxy on the collar were designed, rendered, and integrated into existing footage at the last possible moment. In some cases, the collar was digitally added to shots that had already been finalized. The film was locked just hours before the absolute deadline. What became one of the smartest twists in modern science fiction was conceived and executed under pure panic. Number 3. A one-scene character who stole the movie. Jack Jeeves was never meant to matter. Originally, the character appeared once and disappeared, but during test screenings, his head regeneration scene generated the biggest laugh in the entire film. The studio reacted immediately. Screenwriter Ed Solomon was ordered to expand the character. New scenes were written on the spot. The running gag of repeated head destruction was invented after audiences responded so strongly. The problem was timing. The actor was already committed elsewhere and had only a few days available. Effects teams rushed to build new prosthetics. Scenes were filmed in compressed marathon sessions. Everything was done at maximum speed. Jeeves became a fan favorite and later a recurring franchise character, not because of planning, but because audiences decided he mattered. Number 4. Real people who didn't know they were in the movie. The post office scene was filmed in a real, functioning postal facility. Actual customers were present. They were not extras. They were not informed they were being filmed. Director Barry Sonnenfeld wanted genuine reactions to the absurdity of aliens working mundane jobs. Small cameras were hidden throughout the building. Alien makeup was designed to look strange but plausible enough to avoid immediate suspicion. Confusion followed. Some customers questioned the costumes, others complained. One elderly woman became frightened and had to be calmed down after the production revealed the truth. The real problem came later. Filming identifiable individuals without consent violated privacy laws. Every visible person needed to sign a release. Tracking them down required investigators, transaction records, and security timestamps. Dozens refused. Those individuals had to be digitally removed or obscured in post-production at significant cost. Authenticity came at a legal and financial price no one anticipated. Number 5. The executive producer who wanted out. Steven Spielberg almost removed his name from the film. As executive producer, Spielberg reviewed an early cut of Men in Black and was deeply dissatisfied. His vision for the project had leaned towards serious science fiction with light humor. What he saw instead was a full comedy wrapped in sci-fi elements. He felt the tone betrayed the original concept. Spielberg told the studio he wanted his name taken off the credits. The request created an immediate legal problem. His contract required credit placement, and removing it would violate the agreement. Negotiations followed. The studio presented test screening data showing audiences strongly preferred the comedic version. The numbers were clear. Sonnenfeld's approach worked better than the original concept ever had. Spielberg agreed to keep his credit, but demanded it be minimized and placed late in the credits. If you look closely, it appears briefly and without emphasis. After the film's success, Spielberg later admitted his instincts had been wrong. The version he resisted became a global phenomenon. Number 6. The autopsy scene that made people sick. The alien autopsy scene wasn't simulated. Real cow organs were used. Director Barry Sonnenfeld wanted authentic reactions, so intestines, stomachs, and organs were sourced from a slaughterhouse and modified with prosthetics. Under hot lights, the smell became overwhelming. Crew members vomited. The stage had to be evacuated multiple times. Actors wore scented masks to block the odor. Sound designers recorded the actual sounds of cutting into real tissue. Those sounds remained in the final mix. The production failed to secure proper permits for handling biological materials. Health inspectors later fined the studio and required professional sanitation of the soundstage. The scene's discomfort on screen was real because the conditions behind the camera were worse. Number 7. The suit that wasn't real. Will Smith didn't wear the iconic black suit as seen on screen. The original costume was made from heavy wool to achieve the correct silhouette. Under studio lights, it became unbearable. Smith lasted 2 days before refusing to continue. Sweat soaked through the fabric. Makeup couldn't keep up. Performance suffered. Rather than replace Smith or redesign the suit visually, the production chose a costly compromise. Smith wore a lightweight version for comfort. Industrial Light and Magic digitally replaced the suit in post-production. Nearly a third of the suit seen on screen is computer-generated. The process required precise tracking, rotoscoping, and fabric simulation across hundreds of shots. Smith's constant movement and improvisation made the work even harder. The effect is invisible. One of the film's most recognizable visual elements exists partly as a digital illusion no one was meant to notice. Number 8. The ending audiences rejected. The climax you remember was not the original ending. The first version of Men in Black concluded underground, inside narrow subway tunnels. Agent K was swallowed by the bug and never properly rescued. Agent J defeated the creature by flooding the tunnels. Test audiences hated it. Feedback was blunt. The setting felt cramped and confusing. The victory felt small. Viewers wanted spectacle, clarity, and emotional payoff. Most importantly, they wanted K to survive. With the release date approaching, the studio panicked. Screenwriter Ed Solomon was given 72 hours to write an entirely new ending. The solution moved the final confrontation to an observatory, introduced the galaxy hidden on Orion's collar, and brought K back alive. The rewrite triggered massive reshoots. New sets were built, visual effects were redesigned, cast and crew were recalled with almost no notice. The new ending was finished days before release. Test scores jumped dramatically. The version audiences remember exists only because the first one failed. Number 9. The actress who quit mid-production. The role of Laurel wasn't originally played by Linda Fiorentino. Another actress had already filmed multiple scenes and walked away. She left after clashing with Will Smith's improvisational style. Accustomed to strict scripts and rehearsed blocking, she struggled with constantly changing dialogue and unpredictable takes. Smith's freestyle approach made every performance different. She argued it made her appear stiff and unprepared by comparison. When she demanded the improvisation stop, the production refused. She quit. All previously filmed footage was discarded. Linda Fiorentino was cast immediately, given almost no preparation time, and began shooting within days. Instead of resisting Smith's approach, she matched it. When he improvised, she responded in kind. The chemistry worked because neither actor knew exactly where the scene would go. The replacement cost the studio significant money, but it saved the character and strengthened the film. Number 10. Frank the Pug was never one dog. Frank wasn't a single animal. He was 7. Each pug was trained for a specific task. One handled sitting in stillness. Another was used for walking shots. One had the most expressive face and was reserved for close-ups. Another was trained to hold objects in its mouth for smoking scenes. Others were backups or used when animals became fatigued. Continuity became a constant problem. The dogs differed slightly in size, markings, and ear position. A dedicated crew member was assigned to make cosmetic adjustments between takes so Frank would appear consistent on screen. Each dog required its own trainer, handler, and veterinary supervision. The combined animal handling costs reached hundreds of thousands of dollars. After filming wrapped, the pugs were adopted by members of the crew. Multiple collectors later claimed to own the real Frank, despite all 7 being equally authentic. Number 11. The performance shaped by pain. Tommy Lee Jones's deadpan delivery wasn't entirely a creative choice. During the second week of filming, Jones underwent emergency dental surgery after breaking a molar. The procedure left his jaw swollen, painful, and partially immobile for weeks. Facial movement became physically difficult. Rather than delay production, Jones continued filming while medicated. Painkillers dulled his expressions and slowed his speech. Smiling or exaggerating emotion caused visible discomfort, so he minimized movement entirely. The result was a rigid, emotionless performance that perfectly matched Agent K's personality. Production adjusted around the limitation. Dialogue was shortened, camera angles were chosen to hide swelling, scenes were framed to reduce mouth movement. What audiences interpreted as precise comedic control was partially an actor managing real pain. Jones later admitted the injury accidentally improved the character, forcing him into absolute restraint and making Agent K feel inhumanly controlled. Number 12. The theme song created under absolute panic. The Men in Black theme almost didn't exist. The original plan was an orchestral score. Studio executives rejected it, demanding a contemporary song that could market the film and capitalize on Will Smith's music career. The label declined. Deadlines were too tight. With days left before release, Smith, producers, and collaborators locked themselves inside a recording studio. What followed was a marathon session driven by exhaustion and pressure. The song was written, recorded, and mixed in a matter of hours. Dialogue from the film was woven directly into the lyrics, creating a self-aware commentary that blurred character and performer. Nothing about the process was planned. The track was delivered just before the final deadline. It went on to dominate the charts. What began as a last-minute replacement became one of the most recognizable film themes of the decade, created not by design, but by desperation. Number 13. The performance that nearly stopped an actor's heart. Vincent D'Onofrio didn't rely on makeup alone. To play Edgar the Bug, he deliberately gained 50 pounds in a short period, eating extreme calorie loads to make the human body look swollen and unnatural. The transformation was fast and dangerous. During filming, D'Onofrio experienced chest pain and breathing issues during an action sequence. The set medic called an ambulance, fearing a heart attack. Tests revealed severe cardiovascular strain caused by rapid weight gain and elevated blood pressure. Doctors warned that continuing could lead to permanent damage or death. D'Onofrio refused to leave the film. Instead, the production hired a full-time cardiac nurse to monitor him between takes. He was placed on medication and a controlled diet to slowly reduce weight while maintaining continuity on screen. Medical supervision and production delays added significant cost. It took nearly a year for D'Onofrio to return to his original weight. He later described the role as the most physically dangerous performance of his career. Number 14. The headquarters that almost killed the crew. The Men in Black headquarters wasn't built on a soundstage. It was constructed inside an abandoned aircraft hangar at a former military base in California. The structure dated back to the 1940s and had been cleared for use on paper. 3 weeks into filming, engineers discovered severe structural decay in the roof supports. The wood beams were rotting from the inside. Calculations showed a real risk of collapse within months. Production was halted immediately. Moving the set would cost millions and delay the film for weeks. Reinforcing the hangar was cheaper but still dangerous. The studio chose reinforcement. While filming continued, construction crews installed steel support columns throughout the building. Scenes were shot around active construction zones. Some of the beams visible on screen were digitally removed later. Near the end of filming, a section of the roof partially collapsed in the middle of the night. No one was inside. The cast and crew had wrapped just hours earlier. Had the collapse occurred during filming, the result would have been catastrophic. The location was quietly abandoned and demolished after production ended. The incident was never publicized. Number 15. The arrest the studio buried. Midway through production, Rip Torn was arrested. He had been driving under the influence when he crashed into a production vehicle on his way to set. Torn spent hours in jail before studio lawyers intervened. Charges were reduced, but the consequences didn't disappear. Court dates and mandatory alcohol education classes conflicted with the filming schedule. Firing him was considered. Recasting the role was discussed. Instead, the production rewrote around the problem. Torn's scenes were reduced in number but expanded in length, allowing his entire performance to be filmed in compressed, high-intensity shooting blocks between legal obligations. Crew members worked extended hours while the schedule bent around his availability. Publicists quietly suppressed the story by offering exclusive access to other cast members. Most media outlets never reported the arrest until years later. The delays and overtime added significant cost to the production, but the footage already captured was considered too strong to discard. The incident stayed hidden until Torn revealed it himself years later. Number 16. The most expensive prop that kept disappearing. The neuralizer was never meant to be a simple prop. Columbia Pictures commissioned 15 fully functional units, each containing real electronics, motorized parts, and precision engineering. Each one cost tens of thousands of dollars to build. Then they started vanishing. 3 neuralizers disappeared from a locked truck during location filming in New York. Security footage showed someone with authorized access entering during a lunch break. No arrests were made. The props were never recovered. 2 more vanished from the studio prop department in Los Angeles. Internal investigations suggested an inside job, but no charges followed. By the final week of filming, 2 additional neuralizers disappeared. Private security was hired to guard what remained. Within months, stolen neuralizers surfaced on the collector's market, selling for far more than their original cost. Columbia pursued legal action but recovered only a fraction of what was lost. The studio spent hundreds of thousands on investigations, legal fees, and replacements. To this day, the neuralizer thefts remain one of Hollywood's most expensive, unresolved prop crimes. Number 17. The scene that was never written. One of Men in Black's most quoted moments was never in the script. The scene where Agent J lectures the Arquillian prince about destroying Earth originally contained a single line, nothing more. Director Barry Sonnenfeld felt the moment lacked urgency and told Will Smith to make it feel real. Smith didn't adjust the line. He replaced the entire scene. What followed was a fully improvised monologue, 3 uninterrupted minutes of escalating pressure, sarcasm, and controlled chaos. Lines like, "We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger," and "Elvis is dead," were invented on the spot. Tommy Lee Jones had memorized responses to dialogue that no longer existed. As Smith continued improvising, Jones was forced to abandon preparation and react in real time. His pauses, glances, and timing were genuine reactions, not performance choices. The studio initially rejected the scene. Executives argued that writers had been paid for specific dialogue and demanded the scripted version be used. Sonnenfeld insisted on a comparison screening. The improvised version tested dramatically higher. Reshooting surrounding scenes to match Smith's delivery cost additional money and time, but the decision stayed. One of the film's defining moments exists only because the script was ignored. Number 18. The villain was redesigned mid-production. 3 weeks into filming, the film's main villain failed. The original version of Edgar the Bug was a traditional insectoid creature, hard shell, multiple eyes, visually aggressive but emotionally flat. When daily footage was reviewed, it wasn't scary, it wasn't funny, it was forgettable. Production stopped. Industrial Light and Magic had already invested millions. Animatronics were built, digital models completed. Vincent D'Onofrio had trained his entire physical performance around the original design. All of it was discarded. The new concept was radically different. Instead of an alien monster, the villain would be an alien trapped inside a human body, wearing skin like an ill-fitting suit. The horror wouldn't come from spectacle, but from something almost human that moved wrong. ILM was given 9 days. Over 80 artists worked around the clock. D'Onofrio had to relearn how to walk, breathe, and exist on screen. The redesign added millions to the budget and delayed production, but the result became one of the film's most disturbing and memorable elements. The original villain would have been forgotten. The replacement nearly broke the schedule, but saved the film. Number 19. The silent tension that wasn't acting. The chemistry between Agent K and Agent J feels strained for a reason. It wasn't scripted. For the first month of filming, Tommy Lee Jones refused to speak to Will Smith unless the cameras were rolling. No small talk, no jokes, no social interaction. Smith tried repeatedly to break the ice. Jones responded with silence, then walked away. Crew members believed the production had a serious problem. Some assumed Jones genuinely disliked Smith. The tension was real, and it showed on screen. Only later was the truth revealed. Jones was using an extreme form of method acting. He wanted Smith to feel dismissed, uncomfortable, and unsure, exactly like a rookie being judged by a veteran. The awkward energy in those early scenes wasn't performed. It was lived. After 4 weeks, Jones invited Smith to dinner and explained everything. From that point on, their relationship changed completely. But the damage, or rather, the benefit, was already captured on film. The studio had never been informed. The director didn't know. The discomfort was authentic. The partnership audiences loved was built on real emotional distance. Number 20. The casting collapse that changed everything. Men in Black almost began with a completely different Agent J. Chris O'Donnell had already been officially cast. Costume fittings were done. Table reads completed. Weapons training underway. Then, just 14 days before filming, he walked away. Fresh off Batman and Robin, O'Donnell and his team believed another sidekick role would permanently damage his chances of becoming a leading man. The decision left the studio in full panic mode. Columbia Pictures had pursued him exclusively for months. There was no backup plan. In desperation, the studio contacted nearly every young male star in Hollywood. David Schwimmer declined to stay with Friends. Matthew Perry said no for the same reason. Brendan Fraser was already committed elsewhere. Will Smith wasn't even on the list. Executives believed he was too comedic, too loose, and not disciplined enough for the role. But Smith's agent forced the issue, demanding an audition that wasn't offered. Smith paid for his own flight, bought a black suit specifically for the meeting, and improvised the confident, fast-talking attitude that would later define Agent J. There was no safety net. Filming was about to start. Columbia gave him 48 hours to decide. Smith signed immediately. Men in Black was recast not by strategy but by necessity. Men in Black is remembered as confident, stylish, and effortless. It was none of those things. It survived through last-minute rewrites, hidden failures, and decisions made under extreme pressure. The version audiences love exists because earlier versions didn't. This wasn't a perfect production. It was a near collapse that escaped disaster by inches. And that is the truth behind Men in Black.